Hi, this is Set Salutations coming to you with another Monday reading. I'll be reading more of my story that's called Splash, which I wrote last year. We're almost halfway done with it, finally, and I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, please leave comments below, and enjoy. I'm going to start off okay. He took a seat inside. Hopefully Chloe wouldn't find him here. But how about that girl over there? Angela walked into the cafe. Her second time here today. She didn't even really know why she was there. Probably because she always went there on an off day. She sat in a booth by the window, ordered a cup of coffee and a piece of chocolate mousse cake, with a scoop of cookies and cream. She sat there as her eyes wandered out the window. A normal New York sight, not worth mentioning, and nevertheless making her wish more and more that she was back home in Seward County, Nebraska, or anywhere else that wasn't here. She got up and walked over to the counter to get a newspaper. Something, anything would be able to distract her from her thoughts. As she walked back, she felt eyes landing on her, and as she sat down, she casually looked down the aisle of tables, right at Brian hoped she didn't see him. She did, though. But there was no way anyone could see past his dark shades. So he stuffed his face into his cheeseburger and fries, held the burger up to his face and looked beyond it back to where he was before. Her face was concentrated on something, and her glasses were perched on top of her nose. He was sitting at the counter, facing a display of donuts, and the booths on the other side of the diner, where he found her slim figure and quirkily cute eyes, lips, hair, neck. Thoughts of escape immediately took over his mind. He closed his eyes to savor the cheap taste of the burger, but really he was savoring something else, biting into his. This hit the spot, she thought. Oh, it was so good, delicious, splendid. And the ice cream next to that warm cake, wow. She licked the warm fork, savored the taste of the mousse and cold ice cream. She needed her coffee as well. Any other diner could have given her the same meal, but here she felt at peace. Not at home, but like she belonged. This was her booth with her name, Angela McElberry, stamped on the side, trying to distract herself from the man who looked at her. He was pretty attractive in a mysterious kind of way. She looked up as he ate, but he didn't realize her. But he had realized her, and that's all that mattered. She tore a piece of the newspaper out, and he was totally going to go over and get her number. Yeah, he seriously was. The individual fighting with the mind, what a struggle. But he really was this time. He wasn't just going to talk about it. But then he looked up, took his phone out as a distraction, and she let the note slip into the air in front of him when he got up and looked over. She was gone, out of the diner. She felt like a giddy teenager girl again. She was singing songs in her head, 80s love ballads mostly, about the guy falling for the girl. She wished he would. Maybe he already did. But maybe, thought Angela's other side, he was already taken. All the good ones were. But maybe, hopefully, surely he would call. She looked straight ahead as she walked back. Damn, he missed her. But now there's this note on the floor, not a napkin, but a piece of newspaper with stripped letters. He picked it up, shoved it into his pocket, and searched for her outside. There she was, and now he had a good view of her. She was walking, her small hips swinging, long neck and nice-sized breasts. Her hair was hopping behind her, and the wind came. His mind slowed down as she walked, so he could remember everything. As the wind came, she flipped her hair over, looked his way, into his shaded eyes for a second, giving him a smirk of recognition. She pulled her bag closer to her and walked off from the window, where the man stared from. She hoped he wouldn't follow her, and would call. She hoped he didn't just want her body and found her facade breathtaking and influential. She was sick of the men who took her for granted as a hot piece of ass. She was more, much more, and not even that attractive, she thought. Because the last time she checked, they weren't lining up for her at her door for sex. Hoping he was different, but something was telling him that he just wasn't. He walked out of the coffee shop, still in a state of shock as the sun stung his eyes. He put his arm up and ran across the street to the building he was living in for the past month, since the championship and until he came back from Tokyo, which he had to get ready for now. Took the stairs. He didn't have time for the elevator. Had to meet Chloe at his car in around 2 hours. He rolled up the winding stairs to the 8th floor, opened his door and slammed the door behind. She was back home, back to nothing, but back from somewhere. She felt like she acted out of character, but she was doing something wrong by being a little bit into a mysterious man. She opened the fridge and pulled out a yogurt and a spoon, sat on the couch, turned the TV back on, wondering how Oprah was doing today. It just ended, but she didn't care about what this was the first time she missed it in 2 weeks. It was worth it. He was worth it. Something about him made her tingle the way He packed his bag and another bag. That's all he would need for a week in Tokyo. He looked in the mirror at himself, and the man that the woman from the coffee shop had laid her eyes on. He uncrushed the note in his back pocket and wrote the name over and over. Angela, Angela, Angela. Oh, what a woman. He walked over to the phone, but for some reason couldn't hitch up the nerve to dial. He knew he had better take a shower and check his emails, Twitter, Facebook, blog, the latest Brian Humphrey news before he left. Plus, he didn't want to call her without a reason, and he didn't have time to start anything up. Something about her made him go to the wall and hit it. He wanted to. When she was 12, there was a boy she knew around town. Everyone called him Danny. She hoped to be his Sandy someday. The summer before she moved with her family to Luxembourg for 3 years, they had a summer only sung about in love ballads. She didn't remember how it happened, how he came along, and who asked Hoots to the party at Greg's house. But she did remember that she cried the most she had ever cried when he left her. He was fascinated with her neck, even at the age of 13. She didn't have the cute features she did now. Back then she was innocent. He opened her eyes, as much as any boy could in the middle of Nebraska. A nearby lake was the hangout for all the kids, and the most common place to see kids making out against trees in the grass, in the middle of the forest near the lake. They were young, a little younger than the couples making out in the grass. They admired the lake from afar, usually from a distance, when they climbed around a rocky hill to the bridge. They looked over at the lake from a distance, and he asked her if she loved him. It was summer, so she said she did, not thinking. They talked about their dreams and how he wanted to be in the Olympics someday. She laughed, but didn't think it was far off. His mysterious eyes made him desirable. He usually wore dark glasses to cover his face up in the summer. She could only look into them when they gave each other goodbye pecks on the lips and cheek. Okay. That's all for today. Hope you're enjoying my reading. Please leave comments below and anything else you want to say. Any criticism you have for me, please, I want it. That's all. Okay. Goodbye.